Good morning, Rabbi Boisai. Boisai, brand new perek. Kol hapsulim sheshochatu shchitas and ksheiro. When it comes to shchita, even someone who's puzzle can shecht. Shashchita ksheiro bezorim. A shchita is kosher even with a Yisrael. The shchita is kosher with a Yisrael. Even Bibi could do shchita. Bibi's wife could do shchita. But the Kabbalah Saddam, no. Shashchita or Halacha, Shashchita ksher bezarim, ubenashim, uba'avadim, unbelievable. An eved, only chayiv with mitzvahs kiisha, ubitmein. So this we're going to see is in a category on its own. He's tamei, and those who say that it's aser to do shchita when you're tamei. Those who say that it's a derabanan, we're concerned that you might touch the meat, the dead animal after you shechted it. So let's just see the list. There's a new and improved list. He took the original list that I did, and he improved it. There's chatos, asham, oilo, shal mitzvah. That's the kachi kachim. Kachi kalim, it's like the Korban Pesach, the Toida, the Nazir. He has a long beard. The Meiser has a red dot. Each one with its own. So even the kachi kachim, even if you're shechting a chatos, a oilo, you're allowed to shecht. Even Yisrael could shecht it. Uvad shelo yutmeim noigim babasar. Now, what kind of tameh we're talking about? Just interesting. There's a little bit of a problem. If somebody went to a funeral and he touched the knife, if somebody goes to a funeral, he touched the mace, he touched Avi Avos Atuma, he becomes one level lower than Avi Avos, he becomes an Avatuma. If an Avatuma touches a kli, a knife, the knife is going to become a Rishon. Goes down one level each time. So how could he touch a knife? The knife is going to make the animal tameh. So either we're talking about that he was touched, he's tameh because he touched a sheretz. So sheretz starts off at a lower tumah. It starts at the avatuma, not a viyavais tumah. It's avatuma. So the person touching the sheretz becomes a rishon, and when you touch a knife, it doesn't become tameh. Or, like back in the day, does anybody remember when we started using metal knives for bris milah? We used to use rocks or stick. By David HaMelech. David HaMelech, when he killed Goliath and the metal separated to let the stone in, so as a karsa type to the metal, we started using metal for a bris. So it says Rashi, you could use a stick to do that. It doesn't have to be tameh. The stick does not makabel tuma. As we're going to see, we could be talking about a long knife. You don't have to be there. You don't have to be touching anything. Hein poisim machshav. Chiddush gadol moed. Whole sugis before we're discussing. Have a seat, please. Thanks. We're talking about the machshav of pigol chutz lezman chutz lamakom. Who could have the wrong intent? A person performing the avodah. So if a woman goes into the Beis Hamikdash and performs the shechita, and during the shechita she thinks about chutz lezman, she's gonna eat this carbon in 5 days from now. She's gonna apply the blood in whoever's gonna apply the blood in 3 days from now. She could ruin the carbon because since she has the right to do shechita, she has the right to have the wrong machshava. Lefi chaim poislim b'machshava. Top of Amud Beis Amud Aleph Leiba. V'kulon shekiblu sadom chutz lezmanoi v'chutz l'mkoimoi. Im yesh dam hanefesh yachzer hakosher v'yikabel. Oh, if Bibi comes and he's makabel the dam, he does kabbalas hadam, and he has the wrong thought, he tries to ruin it. It's nothing. Why? Because he's Yisrael. But Yisrael can't have the wrong thought by kabbalas hadam. So what do? You redo it. If there's a possibility to read, how's the possibility? If the animal's still spewing out blood, still the blood is coming out, you can redo it. If there's enough good blood, not the first blood, which is the dam or, not the last blood, which is dam tamsis, the dam itself. If the Kohen did Kabbalas Adam. So the Kabbalas Adam is good. There's already a Kabbalas Adam. And he gave it over to some Yisrael standing there. So what do? It doesn't ruin it. As long as the Kabbalas Adam was done properly with a kosher person, you give it over to the apostle. There's nothing like apostle. Yachzor kosher gives it back to the kosher guy. Kibu biyiminoi, v'nosan l'smoiloi, yachzor liyiminoi. If we learned the whole sugya that you have to accept the blood with your right hand, accepting with the left hand is no good. He did it the right way. But then later on he got tired, he put it in his left hand. Yachzor liyiminoi. Not a problem. You put it back in the right. Kibu b'kli kodesh, Kabbalas Adam, in the proper kli, v'nosan kli cholding, poured it into your negovas or plastic thing, not the end of the world. Yachzor li kli kodesh. Nishbach min hakli ala ritzpa v'asafai. If it fell onto the ground and you gather it, so we already learned, if it goes directly from the animal's neck onto the ground, there's nothing you can do about it. It's possible. But over here, there was a real Kabbalas Adam into a kli, and from the kli it fell on the floor. So what do? You gather it up. Here we have a video. If you do this way, this is aser, and if it goes first into the kli, then spills onto the floor, kosher. Kibel b'kli kodesh v'nosan kli choil, yachzor li kli kodesh. Nishbach ben hakli ala ritzpa v'asafai kosher. If it fell on the floor and you gathered it, it's kosher. Nisane al gavai kevesh. Rabbi said we had all of this, and that's why it's familiar, and that's why today's daf is super easy. There's the Nisane al kevesh. I'm just reminding you, it's not the best one, but whatever. Pouring the blood on the actual ramp is not the way to do it. Oh, this is an upgrade right now. Shaloi keneged ha'yisod, that's another halacha. Shaloi keneged ha'yisod is in addition. It's not Nisane al gavai kevesh, shaloi keneged ha'yisod. Nisane al gavai kevesh, period. Nu halacha, shaloi keneged ha'yisod. There's parts of the mizbeach that don't have a base. You see right over here where it's red, no base. Over there you cannot pour the blood. Where it's green, there's a little bit, it juts out a little bit, that's where you can pour the blood. You put the blood above the red line instead of below the red line, above the red line or below the red line, but it's in the wrong place. We have the heichal on the right. We have the mizbeach that we're familiar with on the left. That's bachutz. Bifnim and bachutz. So if somebody put the blood, bifnim you have the menorah, and you also have something called the mizbeach haktoiris. It's mizbeach hazav. Here, Yoshi did this one. It's slow, it's short, it's made out of gold. He put the blood on there instead of on the outer one. You mixed it up. Instead of putting it in Yom Kippur, you put it inside, put it outside, inside, outside. If there's still blood squirting out, so go ahead and receive the blood. If we look at the words in the Mishnah, it says, if you're apostle, you're Yisrael, and you perform shchita and ksheira. If you read it, it seems like it's not the right thing to do. If you did it after the fact, ksheira. Shechatu. If they did it, we don't want a woman coming in shechting. If she did it, okay, it's kosher. But that's not true. It's l'chatchila. Shachatu di'avidin, l'chatchila loy. Seems like l'chatchila not. V'riminu v'shochat shchita b'zor ksheira. Shchita, when it comes to Yisrael, is kosher. How do I know? Maybe shchita is only by a kohen. Amris v'chimayim basel. What's your reason to say only a kohen? Because shenemar v'ato uvonecha itcha tishmur skunaschim l'chol dvar hamizbeach. You have to watch and keep everything, anything that has to do with the mizbeach. Yochel av shchita. What's anything that has to do with the mizbeach? Everything, including shchita. Tamad loymar v'shochad is ben abokel fnei Hashem v'ikrivu v'goymer. You love it when it says v'goymer, right? Where's that? Anything in time it says v'goymer, you got to go to the end of the pasuk. V'shochad is ben abokel fnei Hashem. So the beginning of the pasuk is shochat, but then it says v'ikrivu, and we learned already v'ikrivu means kabbalas Adam. In other words, look, there's even an asnachta under the Hashem. I'm changing it, by the way. I finally went into the Bar Ilan. It's going to say Hashem from now, not Yud Kuf Vav. Anyway, v'shochat is ben abokel, and it's going to. I'm taking off the timing, which I did once, but they popped back on. V'shachad is ben habagal lefnei Hashem, kama. V'krivu b'nei Aaron HaKohanim is a new thing. In other words, the v'shachad is Yisrael, and from v'krivu on is b'nei Aaron, has to be a kohen. Mikabala ve'elech mitzvahs kuhuna. Only from that point v'krivu is a kohen. Limud al shchitas sheksher b'chol alam. So the question is, how come the Mishnah seems like it's talking about a b'diavad? It's not the right thing for a woman, for a Yisrael to do shchita. No. You could bring your wife to do shchita in the Beis Hamikdash. It would be an honor. But there is one part of the whole list there that's not a good thing to do, and that's tamei. A tamei person should not be performing the shchita. Why? That's why it seems like it's only with the evet, but actually the entire mission is the chatchila besides the tamei. Now the Gemara goes into the tamei. What if a tamei person performs the shchita? It's okay. We have two psukim, one after another. Pasuk Daled and Hey. One says v'samach, lean on the animal. Performance, the smicha on the animal, put all your weight on its head, and then it says v'shachat. That's called a hekesh. Since they're so close to each other, we're going to learn one thing from the other. Ma smicha b'tahirim, av shchita b'tahirim. If in order to perform smicha on an animal, you have to be tar. So shchita also. So it seems like it's a first pasuk that you have to be tahar when you perform the shchita, and if you're not tar, the shchita is no good. Says Gemara, midrabanan. No. The isser to perform shchita is only the Rabbanah. Ma'aseh smicha, why? D'chsev lefnei Hashem. You should perform the smicha in front of Hashem, meaning in the Azara. Shchita nami haksiv lefnei Hashem. It should be in front of Hashem. So says the Gemara, shchita has the same word. Shchita nami haksiv lefnei Hashem. You have to be in the Azara. You have to be. It's not enough. So how could you be in the Azara if you are tamei? Says Gemara, I have a great idea. Efshar da'avid sakin aruka. Maybe you made a very long knife. V'shachit. Says the Gemara. So I have an eitzah. When it comes to shchita, I have an eitzah, but I don't have such a good idea for smicha. How are you gonna shchita? I'm using a tool, so I can use a long tool. But the smicha, it has to be with my hands. What am I going to do? Says Gemara, what's the problem? You'll stand here. We have a little bit of a video. You'll stand on the outside of where you're allowed to stand, and you'll stick your hands in here, right over here. So he put his hand in. He put a little bit of his hand inside the azara. The Gemara understood it's okay, but it's not okay. Why is it not okay? Because for a laser lamashal, it wouldn't be okay. You would notice that your hand is in there, and so too when it comes to anything else. If you put a little bit of your body inside the azara, it says if your whole body is in the azara, bia b'miktsas, a little bit of going in, shema bia is considered as if your whole body went in. All right, so that's why you cannot do smicha in such a way, but you could do that. That's the difference between smicha and shchita. Shchita I could do with a tool. I'll stand completely outside of the azara. Zero of my body, not even one finger inside the azara. I'm just going to use an extended knife. Whereas it doesn't have to be the BB knife. It could be like the animal's literally right there, and I'm using 2-foot long knife. But when it comes to smicha, there's no way for me to stand outside and do smicha inside, because once I put my hand inside, it's all over. I'm over the isser of a tummy going into the azara. Rav Chizah says the opposite. Yes, I have this hekesh. So he says no. The Torah says mefurish that you have to be tar when you do shchita, not a derabbanan. Midoraisa, a tamei cannot perform shchita. He takes it out of the Mishnah. So too, when I perform the smicha, you have to be tar. Ma'ishna shchita d'chsiv lefnei Hashem. Daf Amud Beis Amud Aleph. As the Gemara, if by shchita it says lefnei Hashem, and that's how I know that you cannot be tamei when you perform the Amud Beis Amud Beis Leiba Amud Beis. What did I say? Loi, it's Leiv. Smicha nami ksiv lefnei Hashem. So why do I need a hekesh? It says mefurish. Lefnei Hashem, to do smicha you have to be inside the azara. Says Gemara, he holds no, you can just put your hand in. I mixes bia shmei bia. He doesn't know the mixes shmei bia. Mixes bia loy shmei bia. I could put my hand in, and that's not considered me going into the Beis Hamikdash. Shchita nami efshad da'avet sakin aruka v'shachit. Why? We have an eitzah. He could do shchita, even though he's not in the Chazarah, by using a longer knife. Homani Shimon atimni. Shimon, some say, every time we have his name, was he from Taman? Was he from Yemen? Was he from a place called Taman? Whatever it is, that was his name. Shimon atimni. He holds that the shochet has to be inside the Chazarah. You can't stand outside. The sanyo. The Tanna Kama holds, like what we said until now, that the animal must be inside the Beis Hamikdash in the Chazarah, not the one performing the shechita. The one performing the shechita could stand outside in Shar Nikaner and there's Nashim over there. But he argues, and this is what he holds, how do you know that the hands of the shochet should be even closer to the heichal than the actual animal? Which is not, some say it's not literally. All he means is, how do you know that the shochet has to be standing inside the Chazarah? Talmud loymar v'shochet has been abokar lefnei Hashem. Shochet has been abokar yeh lefnei Hashem. We learned that the actual shochet has to be in front of Hashem. Amar Ula, Amar Slakish. Tami sheyichn is yada lefnim loikim. If you are tamei and you play games, you come to the door of the Beis Hamikdash and you stick your hand in past the threshold, you get malchus. Is just your hand. We're talking about a yoledes, a woman who gives birth, and she depends on what she gave birth. If she gave birth to a boy, a girl, in the beginning she has more tumah for a girl, 14 days versus 7 days. Then later on it's the opposite, it's 33 days versus 66. Al Kaparim she has the Yimei Tahara, the 66 Yimei Tahara, but the 7 and 14, she's tamei for 7 or 14 days, girl or boy. So she's not out b'chol kodesh leisiga. She can't touch anything that has kedusha in the Beis Hamikdash. Makish bia lenegia. Manegia, there's touching and there's going in. Manegia bebigsash manegia. When you touch a vessel, it doesn't matter. You don't have to touch it with your entire body. Even your pinky, you touch the vessel with your pinky. You touched it. Av bia bemigsash ma bia. So too, going in a little bit into the Beis Hamikdash with your hand, you're tamei, you stick your hand through the door into a window of the Beis Hamikdash, it's considered as if your whole body went in, you get malchus. Yishmak. A very cool sugya. Mitzvah goes through a huge process of becoming tar, and one of the things he has to do, as we saw the video, I'll show you again, he has to go through, let's just, you know what, I'll show it now. Where is it? The smelly sock video. One of the things he has to do is he has to give his right toe and his right finger and his right ear, and the kohen puts the blood and the oil on it. It's a whole long thing. Cut your hair. That's why this guy is bald. V'chulu v'chulu. Now he goes to the mikvah. And then after the mikvah, what is he? After the mikvah, he's a tful yoim. The next day he has to bring karbanos. He's a mechusar kippurim until he brings the karban. Okay. What happened was, it's Erev Pesach. If he doesn't get his full process done, what's going to happen? He's tamei and he cannot eat the karban Pesach. His luck would have, v'ra keri boy bayoim v'toval. He was about carry that last day. About carry typically could go to the mikveh that day and becomes tar at night. The problem is that he's a tful yom. After you go to the mikveh, you're still a tful yom. A tful yom cannot enter the Beis Hamikdash. So what do you do? If he doesn't go into the Beis Hamikdash, he remains tamei. But the Torah says he could go into the Beis Hamikdash with the tumah of his tzaras. He's still a tamei as a mitzvah. He can go into the Beis Hamikdash. Now, there's a problem. He can't go in, and you can't take the blood out to him. So what do you do? But the Torah says he has to do the blood, but you can't bring the blood outside. So what do? This is what you do, Rabbi Isai. That's the laser beam. He's not allowed to go past the laser. So the Kohen yanks his ear, I guess. He's showing that he pulls his ear in, and he puts a dot of blood on his ear. And here's his thumb, his toenail, the whole big toe. Givaldik. But the problem is more than that. That's a regular Mitzvah. But now he's also a Balkari. And a Balkari cannot go into the Beis HaMikdash. There's no heter in the Torah for him to go in. So what do you do? No other Tvul Yoim, a Balkari cannot go to Harabais. Zen Nichnas. I'm talking, Nichnas means Harabais over here. Zen Nichnas, he could go into the Harabais. Why? Both of them are Issa D'Oraisa. But look what it says in the pasuk. If you are tar, you have zero excuses. You're not traveling. You're not traveling. You're too lazy. You don't bring a korban pesach. What's that halacha? For not bringing a korban pesach. So what is this guy supposed to do? Not bring his korban pesach. Not go through the Prazat Tahara. He gets kares. Not go into the Beis HaMikdash is also not a kares, it's Issa D'Oraisa. So what we say is, do the kares one, so that you don't get kares. In other words, be over on going to the Beis HaMikdash for Tumah, so you don't get the kares of not bringing korban pesach. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, now just going off a little bit. The Torah saying by a Tvul Yoim doesn't have a problem going into the Beis HaMikdash. It was something invented, so to speak, later on in later generations by Yoshafat. What's this new chatzar? It's not a new chatzar. There's chidushim. Fine. That's Rabbi Yochanan. He says it's not a problem. But the rest you let it go into the Harabais. Now, but if a little bit of your ear goes over here, Reuven didn't see this last night, so this is for Reuven. If a little bit of your ears past the laser beam, how could this Mitzvah who's a Tvul Yoim put his ear inside the base, inside the Azara? So what if he's standing outside? A little bit of his ears, like his entire ear. Now all of a sudden you have another car. Now you're up against a kares and a kares. Who says that the kares of Pesach wins? From you, I could answer this. This is beautiful. Once the Torah tells you that you're a Mitzvah and you have a tremendous amount of Tumah, don't worry about the Tumah. Go to the Beis HaMikdash. So it peels off the Keri also. Omer Rav Yosef. So over here, the Gemara is going to correct this right away. If we know there's a concept called Tumah Hutra B'Tzibur. If most of Klal Yisrael is Tomei Meis, they went to Levaya or something, then 51% of Klal Yisrael is Tomei Meis, then you can bring a korban Pesach, you can bring korbanos, even though they are Tomei, or if most of the Kohanim are Tomei, they can perform the Avodah. What if most of Klal Yisrael were Zavim? They saw in a mission or two, whatever it is, they are Zavim. And afterwards, they added to that Tumah another Tumah called Tomei Meis. Now the Torah only talks about the Tumah of the Meis is removed. Reuven Zav Nasu Tomei Meis. They all start off with the lower Tumah of Zav, and they added the large Tumah of Meis. We're late. What do we do? So, says the Gemara, we'll just do another minute or two. Since we say that the Tumah of Meis peels away, so too the Tumah of the Ziva. I don't understand what you're talking about. Midami. Tumah Ishtari. Ziva lo Ishtari. What happened? What came first? The Tumah of the Ziva came first. What came second? Tumas HaMeis. So I'm peeling off the second thing. How in the world, by taking off the second thing, will it remove the first Tumah? And we'll see in a second, the more of this. Maybe what you meant to say, says Abaya. Reuben Tomei Mason, this makes a lot more sense. If Klal Yisrael were Tomei Meis, they all went to Levaya. And then afterwards you added a second Tumah called V'nasu Zavim, since the Torah says that the Tumas Meis, the first Tumah is peeled away. Yesterday, middle shir, I thought about a nice mashal, to me at least, because I'm a contractor. If you paint the wall black, and afterwards you paint the wall white. So Gemara says, if you remove the black paint, what comes off with it? The white. If you take off the first layer, the Tumas Meis, you have to remove the second layer as well. But if you only take off the second layer, the white, what are you going to have? You're going to have the black is going to remain there. Over here also says Abaya. If you remove the tmei mace, which is the second layer, the first layer stays there. So the guy's still tamei. Mamela, you have to say they're removing the first layer, the tumas mace. Once you remove the first layer, everything peels off with it. Yeah, that's exactly what I meant. This is like in the middle of the sugya. Let's stop over here because we're late. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDYDaf.com.